look all cozy. What's
Yeah.
going on there?
I have a little bit of head cold. Little congestion, little coughing.
You kind of look like my Red Dead character. Have you seen my new design or new character makeup?
Did you have it yesterday when we were playing?
Yeah, I did.
I don't know how close of attention I paid to how you looked yesterday compared to how you looked before. It's been a while since we had played.
Yeah. Well, I got a red beard now, and I'm wearing a poncho.
Okay.
Yeah, but my guy's Asian, and you're not Asian.
No.
So maybe smoke a little more.
It's funny you didn't make your guy look like you at all.
So I darkened him a little bit trying
my
to.
My character looks like the video game version of me.
It really does. It's crazy. It's surprising how well you did that. That was really good.
I spent a little bit of time on it because at the time you had one chance to get it right. There's no going back and changing shit later.
I think you can now, right?
Introduced that. Yeah. They just recently introduced that you can go in and change yourself one time or some shit like that.
Oh,
for free.
Maybe I'll do that. I'm going to keep the red beard and the poncho though.
You don't have a red beard or a poncho in real life.
Other than that, no, I don't even have a poncho, do I? No, I don't. I can get a poncho. I can get a red beard.
You can. I got this poncho in Cheyenne at Frontier Days this year.
Oh, did you go?
It's a legit Mexican-made Mexican poncho. Yeah.
Nice.
It's so fucking cozy. I love it.
It looks like it. You're all nice and chilled out there. It's kind of awesome. What's the weather like there?
It's kind of fall.
Yeah.
It's windy and kind of chilly and leaves fucking everywhere.
Yeah. So I was reading about this guy in Florida who was calling 911 because his roommate kept on stealing his weed. And the cop said, "Don't call. Stop calling." And it's like, what kind of recourse is this guy supposed to... this guy legally has weed. What's he supposed to do if his shit keeps on getting stolen by his roommate?
Is weed legal in Florida?
Medical.
Positive. Medical is?
Yeah, he legally... Apparently this guy legally has it.
Prescription and everything?
Yeah.
Then yes, the cops absolutely should step in.
Well, they tweeted about it and said, "Stop fucking calling."
How about doing your damn job?
That's why we pay taxes.
We pay taxes because they'd kill us if we didn't. Let's be honest.
Right, but I mean, that's how we rationalize it. So yeah, I don't know. That's fucked up. I think the cops should fucking, investigate it. Fucking this dude's property is getting stolen, and that's their fucking job.
Florida has a stand your ground law. Just protect your weed.
You could, but then you have
keep it on your person. And if your roommate wants to steal it, he has to wrestle it from you. And at that point, you can, quote unquote, fear for your life.
That is a possible solution. That sounds premeditated, though, at this point. So if that guy is actually a listener, he might be. We have listeners in Florida. Now that you've heard that, don't do that, because now you have a plan, and plans will kill you.
Sorry for fucking that one up for you, guy.
We need to announce our new team member.
We do.
She's been fucking killing it. Have you been seeing what she's been doing?
I have. Let's start by introducing ourselves and then the new team member, though.
That's a good idea.
Yeah, I thought so, too. So, we're the Higher Minds Podcast.
I'm Papa Darby.
And I'm Scott. And who's the new team member?
Katie. We've got Katie doing our social media. She is, quote unquote, our social media manager.
So
that's cool.
We don't social media well.
No, I was told I was too old to do it efficiently. That's actually, Katie said that to me, and I agree with her.
You are kind of old.
Yeah.
You're old.
That's all right. We got a young
social, so that was not a good combination on the social media front there.
We don't have the social media skills.
Right.
But yeah, she's young, fun, hip, and hot, so she will do it. Those are what the kids are saying, right? Those words?
Something about yeet. Yeet is a thing now, so.
Yeet. My daughter said yeet to me. You know what else she said? Keeps on saying is oof.
Oof?
Oof. That's a thing.
Like a punch to the gut? Oof?
That's what it sounds like. I mean, she doesn't
What
do
does
that.
oof mean?
I try to ask, and she says oof.
How old is your daughter?
12. She'll
Like
be 13
12-ish?
next week.
Okay. Okay. That's right. You guys are coming out this way.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah. Super excited.
Is she
Could
excited
take some
for
video
that?
from there. Yeah, she's super excited too. She's a little scared. We've been watching more and more horror movies, and I think she's getting a little more, gaining a little more
Shown her The
trepidation.
Shining?
No, I asked her last night. She's like, "No, I don't want to watch that."
You should just put it on, like, at the hotel. Like, pull it up on the laptop and just put it on in the room.
Or on the plane there. Yeah, yeah.
Are you guys staying at the Stanley or just visiting it?
No, we're staying there. We got
Okay, because it's hell of expensive.
I got it long enough ago that it wasn't all that expensive. Like if I was booking it
Okay.
like
Yeah,
last
yeah,
week,
especially this
yeah.
time of year and everything.
Yeah.
With Halloween coming up, it gets crazy expensive to stay up there.
Yeah. So it wasn't premium prices, but we also upgraded to the most haunted room. So
Nice.
yeah,
Nice.
that'd be cool. And
That's badass.
yeah, we got our ghost hunt comped as well.
Nice.
Yeah.
You bringing night vision cameras and all that crazy shit with you?
No. I mean, this was kind of expensive, so like I can't, fund that shit. But we're gonna try to record stuff, and we're gonna try to find something.
You can use your phone as an EVP recorder.
Yeah, we could.
Phones have a sound recorder built in.
Yeah,
You could try that with it.
we should do that. And I have.
Or it's not like you don't have nice microphone equipment and everything that you could take up there too.
You're right, and I got the software to like isolate all that shit. Huh. We might be actual ghost
You should
hunters this
fuck around
time.
with some EVPs while you're up there.
We should.
Yeah. You should fuck around with some EVPs.
We should.
For those not in the loop, EVPs are electric voice phenomena.
Yeah. Sometimes ghosts respond in sounds that we can't hear without technological enhancement.
Right. Yeah, they'll respond on the recording, but not audibly to the naked ear at the time.
Although a lot of that shit that's out there is clearly bullshit. Some of the shit's pretty creepy though.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
So,
And I've seen stuff at the Stanley where you could actually hear the responses and shit too, I guess.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. And there's that woman that walks down the stairs. There's that famous picture. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've been there a couple of times.
they had a bear in there that might have been last fall. They had a fucking bear walk into the front lobby and
I
you remember seeing that
vaguely
video?
remember that. Yeah. I think it was maybe last.
it was a fucking decent sized bear just walking around and the person behind the front desk is recording this with their cell phone.
Good job, employee. Wait, get a camera. What the fuck?
Maybe lock the doors.
Call somebody. Yeah. So yeah, speaking of creepy shit, this subject while researching, I watched a bunch of videos on it, and it really creeped me out. What about you?
Some of the info out there is creepy as shit. I kind of went into this skeptical, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah, sure.
So yeah, there's some information out there that could easily be thrown away, but other information out there where it's like, yeah, that was before the fucking internet and shit. Like, how the fuck would they have known that?
Yeah. And there are plenty of skeptics out there, and there are good arguments against this phenomena, but I found there's a lot of good arguments for it too. In fact, there is a department at the University of Virginia that is dedicated to this phenomena, and that's kind of what I get into mostly. Yeah, like it's scientific.
What is the phenomena? I don't know if we introduced the topic, did we?
Oh, I don't think we did. It's kids who remember past lives, i.e., reincarnation.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, past life
But like the
regression,
actual
reincarnation.
Yeah. Although I do want to start with not actually research, but I kind of want to explain my personal belief with this. So, and it gets kind of, I don't know, abstract. So stop me if I need to explain something, but yeah. So, do you mind if I go ahead and start?
Yeah. Why don't you go ahead and start it off then? I got a handful of
Yeah, I got
examples
about
here. I don't know what you got into.
okay. I got yeah. Well, I'll start with this.
Okay.
It's kind of an explanation of how I believe this works. It's about a page worth. Anyway, this is my true belief about the mechanism which facilitates reincarnation, and I'll start by giving it some credibility, which is because of the law of conservation of energy. Einstein himself believed in an afterlife. So it's my opinion that there are two different types of material which create physical life. That is the inanimate material known as the body, such as plants, animals, microbes, what have you, and then whatever it is that animates that material. The animating material starts and is essentially one giant pool of the stuff. When a physical system with the right chemical and physical composition is created, i.e., conception, that system then emits a signal which attracts, or the animating material is attracted to it, much like magnetism. This functionality is also seen at the microscopic level with cells. This then allows the body to be animated, known as life, much like electricity within electronics. That means that we are not actually individuals, but all share the same soul. There is a scene in The Sopranos when Tony is in the hospital and he meets a philosopher. He says that we are all different waves within the same ocean and that our individuality is just an illusion we accept. As the band Tool states, we are an illusion with an imagination of ourselves. However, the physical reason we see ourselves as individuals is because every body inhabited naturally grows uniquely, to which the animating material reacts differently. That displays as people with different gifts, abilities, and interests. So, once the electronic, that is our body, wears out or is damaged beyond repair, the electricity, which is our animation, dissipates and is drawn to the original pool like water is drawn to water, which the soul experiences as heaven, nirvana, afterlife, hell, or whatever. It is then mixed up and recycled into another body, into another body which calls for animation. In the case of remembering past lives, it may be when the individual part that is drawn back to the source, that portion of the material isn't mixed up enough before it is sent back to animate another body.
That was your own personal take on it, or that was something that you had found?
No, that's my own personal quote.
Okay.
Yeah, that's my. So there's that. I don't know if you had something to say about that, but that was my intro into this subject.
No, I don't know where exactly I stand on past life shit and reincarnation and whatever. It does explain a handful of things like child piano prodigies and shit like that if they were a pianist in a past life or whatever.
Yeah.
But a lot of the ways that they do past life regression, the hypnosis that goes into that, hypnosis for past life regression is very, very similar to the same hypnosis you would use to plant ideas in people's heads, leading them along and everything.
Mm-hmm.
So I think if you're looking at the hypnosis end of things, you kind of got to take all of it with a grain of salt.
Yeah.
But then again, there are kids that can do things that you can't fucking explain. So who knows?
Yeah, and I mean, if you're hypnotizing an adult, it's kind of hard to say how the memory works in such a case when the adult has so much accumulated knowledge that it has forgotten, consciously. So, yeah, I kind of stayed away from the hypnosis portion and just stayed with the kids who were just talking about shit, and then afterwards it's all researched. This concept, written down, dates back to 800 BC with the Hindus. Past lives or reincarnation, in one way or another, are part of most religions, including Christianity, with Jesus supposedly coming back. Dr. Ian Stevenson, back in the 60s, interviewed over 3,000 people claiming to have experienced past lives. Two-thirds of those said that their previous life ended due to unusual causes. He focused on 25 cases in India and realized that there are more cases than anyone thought. India, because the religion accepts it, and so the phenomena is more willingly explored. So Dr. Stevenson created criteria which Jim Tucker of the University of Virginia uses today to study these past lives or to take seriously a case. And it has to include two of the following criteria. A prediction of rebirth by the deceased, an announcing dream, such as somebody has a dream that this person is somebody else, a birthmark or defect that seems related to a previous life, statements of memories of previous lives, behaviors related to the previous life, such as fear of a sound or an area, and then the recognition of people and places from that life. Though it is believed that souls cannot remember their past lives, some children are thought to be able to. The record shows that kids who can remember their past lives are usually between 3 and 4. It is characterized by children displaying accurate knowledge of past events, whether historical or personal, about which they should have no knowledge. About 20% of the kids who display this ability are able to remember events between lives, such as the afterlife.
And I had heard that, at least in India, if a kid can remember a past life, it's taken as a bad omen that they'll die again soon.
Oh. I didn't read that. I don't know.
I don't know. I just found that curious. The one of the cultures that it's a big part of believes that if you can remember your past life, it's bad luck or whatever.
No, I never read that, but okay, that's spookier, right? It makes it spooky.
Mm-hmm. A little bit.
So, yeah, you want to get into an example?
I had a case here from India while we're on the topic. What one was that? Parmad Sharma?
Nope.
Have you heard of him?
Nope.
Is that one of yours too? No? Good. Sharma was born October 11th, 1944 in Bisauli, India. Bisauli, India. He had claimed to be from Morabad, a town about 90 miles northeast of where he had lived. Between the ages of 2 and 3, he started talking to his mother about having a wife in Morabad that was a better cook than his mother was, apparently.
Ah, that asshole. So, this kid's a prick. Okay.
Then between the ages of 3 and 4, he began to speak in more detail. He described businesses that he had owned with family members in Morabad.
Oh, so he's a big business owner? Yeah. So he's just born a prick.
I don't know if he was a big business owner, but he was a business owner. He had owned a couple businesses with family members, including a shop named Mohan Brothers, where they made and sold cookies and soda water. He would, as a kid, make mud cookies and serve them with tea to his family. You know how kids make mud pies or whatever?
Yeah.
He was redoing this whole cookies and soda water thing with mud and tea when he was a kid.
Yeah, that he's serving people fucking mud and tea. You're not really making his case for him not being an asshole.
When you point it out like that, he does kind of sound prickish. He apparently hated curd and advised his family not to eat it as it was, quote, dangerous.
Curd?
Apparently curd is very popular over in India for kids.
Like the dairy food?
I'm assuming it's some kind of a dairy-based, yeah.
Oh, okay. Okay.
I assume it's similar to like cheese curds or maybe even cottage cheese or whatever. He had claimed that it made him seriously ill in his past life. He also didn't like having his head submerged underwater, like when swimming or taking a bath or whatever. He had claimed that he had died in a bathtub in a past life. We spoke earlier about his ex-wife, former wife, past life wife. What the fuck would that be? It's not an ex-wife if you just die.
No, yeah, I guess.
Past life wife, I guess.
Yeah, I guess.
Anyways, they had had 5 kids together, 4 sons and a daughter. He apparently reportedly begged his parents to take him to Moradabad to visit, but his parents refused. Probably goes back to that whole remembering your past life is bad luck in India thing.
That's a common thing among all of these cases that I went through about 10 cases, and all of them always wanted to go back and revisit, where they used to where they claim to have used to live.
And from what I had read, once they go back and get that out of their system, they're usually okay and can move on with their life after that.
So yeah, apparently, eventually the memories fade. There was one case I found that she was a 12-year-old. She started at 6, She accurately predicted all this other stuff. She met the family, and this is not who I have. She met all the family, and I guess she continued to stay in contact and is continued to be considered part of the family. And she claims to still remember to this day, but I don't know about that. If she remembered, I think she remembers remembering, and because that's like unique in all of this. If she remembered
That's
at all.
really what a memory is. When you remember a past event, you're just remembering the last time that you remembered it, essentially. Every time you remember something, that memory degrades a little bit more. You start adding shit to it and taking shit away from it, and
Okay, maybe if I'm not sure.
memory's incredibly flawed.
That's true, but there is a specific chemical process of how that happens, and I don't know it well enough to scientifically say. Do you?
I don't. I've just
Okay.
read bits and pieces over time.
But memory is notoriously bad everywhere. Like, you can convince yourself of almost anything.
Oh, absolutely. You tell yourself the lie enough times, it becomes a truth.
Yeah.
They've done studies on brainwave functions and everything, and if you tell yourself a lie enough times, when put in like an MRI machine or whatever, and you get the scan, your brain reacts as if you're telling a truth when you tell that lie.
Yeah.
So news of...
And I mean, if you...
What are you doing with your paper? That is so noisy.
Can you hear that?
Oh my god, yes.
I was just organizing them.
Anyways.
Anyway.
News of Sharma's statements eventually reached a family in Moradabad, which fit many of the details of his story. The brothers of this family owned several businesses in Moradabad, including a cookie and soda water shop named Mohan Brothers. So this kid correctly claimed the name of the shop, what they made, and where it was at. The shop had been started and managed by Parmanandad Mayra. I'm gonna butcher all these names.
No, that was beautiful. That was like poetry.
Yeah, that's
sounded like a song.
Even with the question mark at the end, the Parmanand. Yeah. It was managed by that guy until his untimely death, May the 9th of 43. And this kid was born in October of 44, so... Parmanand...
So, wait, I'm sorry, what was the difference? Can you repeat that?
About 18 months difference between when this guy died and when the kid was born.
Okay.
He had reportedly gorged himself on curd at a wedding feast. Friends and family said that was his favorite food and had told him to stop, but he had kind of, when am I going to get the chance to eat this much curd again kind of situation, because it's a fucking wedding and it's just there for the taking.
Didn't they do that with shrimp on the on Seinfeld? Was that Seinfeld? Like somebody got mercury poisoning or some shit, Elaine and George or some shit?
They might have, I don't know. I didn't think Jews were allowed to eat shrimp. Don't they have a thing with shellfish?
Are they all Jewish? I thought only Seinfeld was Jewish.
No, I thought the whole show was Jewish.
I don't know.
Well, Jerry's parents are clearly
Costanza?
Jewish. Yeah.
Costanza's not. Costanza is Italian. That sounds Christian. But they had
'cause I
Festivus.
thought his dad
So I don't know what the fuck.
I'm pretty sure I've seen George Costanza's dad with a yarmulke on in an episode before.
Well, I mean, the actor is Jewish.
I'm saying
I don't
in
know.
the show.
I don't know.
I don't know.
Maybe it wasn't Seinfeld then. Maybe it was something else.
Maybe. I was never a huge Seinfeld fan, but I've seen enough
me
episodes
either.
over the years to... I don't know. I've seen a handful.
Yeah. Yeah.
Anyway, so he gorged himself on the curd at this wedding.
What's the deal with this curd? Sorry.
That was a terrible Seinfeld impression.
Oh, that was great.
Shit. He had subsequently developed a chronic gastrointestinal illness, followed by appendicitis, and died.
Ooh, goodness.
Some say he did die in a bathtub, so that may explain the kid's aversion to water as well.
So he passed out, almost dying, and then drowned.
Possibly. Details on the actual
Okay, that
death
sounds-
were hard to find. But it seems like the gastrointestinal illness from the curd, paired with appendicitis, seems to show up in multiple accounts of the story. So,
Well, that sucks.
don't eat too much curd, guys. You might die.
No. Yeah. And if you eat too much curd, you might drown in your bathtub.
Could be. It's very possible.
So I got another one from India as well. Only one of the two is from India that I have. And it's from a girl named Shanti Devi. And I have much less information about this than you did. You did much better research on the cases than I did. But so she was from Delhi, India. She remembered being a woman who died 10 days after giving birth in Mathura. She named a man that was her husband. The named man, Kedar Nath, was found in Mathura, and he confirmed that his wife died 10 days after giving birth to their son. Kedar ended up visiting Shanti, claiming to be his brother, but Shanti recognized him immediately, and then subsequently all of his family members. She also knew a bunch of different stuff, specifics that I heard that I didn't write down, but it is just amazingly accurate, her knowledge, without having known this anything about this woman. But Gandhi was told of this case. He ended up visiting and certified that Shanti was the reincarnated Lupti Devi.
Did Gandhi sleep naked with this kid?
Yes, he might have slept naked with her. There's no record of that. Of him, there's no record of him not doing it.
Okay. Because there is record of him sleeping with young girls naked.
Yes, there
It's
is.
not specifically this young girl while naked.
But there's not a record of him not doing it either.
Okay. Okay.
There is
Just
no
so long as we're
picture.
on the same page.
Yes. There's no picture of him proving that he did not sleep with her.
We can neither confirm nor deny that he may or may not have slept naked with this child.
Correct. Okay, that's what I got for her. Apparently she's still alive. Around, but she's old in India.
And safe from Gandhi.
Well, the original. His reincarnated spirit, still looking for her. Told you, creepy. Fucking weird.
So the next two I have are going to be Hollywood related.
Oh.
Let's start with a boy named Lee who claimed to be Sidney Coe Howard. Do you know who Sidney Coe Howard is?
Actually, I did read this case, but go ahead.
Sidney Coe Howard was the screenplay writer for Gone with the Wind.
Nope, I was thinking of a
who
different
had
case.
Apparently been. Oh, okay.
Go ahead.
So this is all new to you too.
Yeah.
So this kid named Lee claimed to be Sidney Coe Howard, the screenplay writer for Gone with the Wind. Lee claimed that his birthday was June 26th, when in reality his birthday was June 21st. June 26th is Sidney Coe Howard's birthday, so he was remembering his past life birthday, apparently.
Ooh.
He also insisted that his middle name was Coe, clearly the same middle name as Sidney Coe Howard.
How's that spelled? C-O? Like Colorado?
C-O-E.
Oh, okay.
When he was young, he was recounting stories about being from Hollywood and whatever, and his mother had asked him if he was an actor, and he said no, he didn't act, he wrote. And they started going through movies of, like, big famous movies at the time and everything, and when he got to Gone with the Wind, he kind of perked up, and yeah, that one was me, I wrote that one. He had an odd interest in tractors and didn't like people touching his chest. You want to take a guess at how Sidney Coe Howard died?
Did he have a tractor fall on his chest? A roll over him or something?
Close. A tractor jumped out of gear or something and pinned him to the foundation of a house and crushed him to death.
Ugh.
Yeah.
Ugh. That's gruesome.
That's got to be a fucking rough way to go, to just get crushed.
Yeah, and then remember dying from that?
Mm-hmm. He had also claimed to have a daughter named Jennifer. That also turned out to be correct for Sidney Coe Howard.
Interesting. What was the time difference between these two?
That I didn't take note of.
Okay.
It was a while. I think, I want to say Howard died in like the 30s or 40s, and this was a couple decades later.
Okay.
I think is what I had read. I didn't write it down though, so don't quote me on
Yeah,
that.
I found that a lot of these cases, the death and rebirth happen happen decades apart. Inside of a century, but pretty much outside of a decade is kind of where I've seen that average.
Yeah, I've seen some that are farther apart, but then just like that last one, that Sharma in India, that was 18-month difference, so
Yeah, that's weird.
you can't really say for
Yeah.
certain. Yeah.
The one I said, there was a 10-year, about a 9-year difference.
Okay. So yeah, there does tend to be a gap, it seems
Yeah.
like.
So speaking of remembering gruesome deaths, the last example that I have is about a boy named James Leininger, who lived, I think it said, in Arkansas, U.S. But from the age of 2, James had nightmares of being in a plane crash and of burning to death. When he could speak, he started describing being a pilot who was shot down by the Japanese in the Second World War. Well, when he first started talking about it, he didn't say Second World War, but those details eventually emerged.
Right.
He gave details such as the name of his aircraft carrier, the first and last name of a friend he had on the ship, and the location and other specifics about the fatal crash, such as he didn't die on impact, he actually burned to death, where he shot down. It was the only plane in that arena that got shot down during that time. His parents, who had no specific knowledge of anything their son was saying, found out later that he was 100% accurate about all of the details. And they found this out upon doing their own research, and they eventually found vets. So this boy was born in the 90s, and they started trying to correspond with some of the vets that were there, who confirmed like all of the details that they could remember that happened, that they were a part of. One other thing I want to talk about real quick that I should have talked about up top, and I kind of did a little bit, but scars and birthmarks. A lot of the cases...
Yeah, I'd read about those too.
Yeah. The person who was rebirthed sometimes have scars, well, not scars, but birthmarks or defects that directly correspond with the way that the person they're saying they were died.
Right.
There was one case where this boy, this woman this Indian woman wanted to be reborn as a boy. She told her daughter, after she died, her daughter ended up having a son. But upon the woman's death, the daughter of the woman who died put a white mark with her finger down the back of her neck, and her son ended up having a birthmark that was identical to the mark that she put on her. Other ones are like, there's a guy who had a birthmark on his head where the guy who said he was before got split in the head with an axe by a neighbor and stuff.
Yeah, I had read about that one too.
Yeah, and that one actually,
The axe mark.
Yeah, that one, the boy led them to the grave of the body and ended up resulting in a conviction of the murderer. So That's weird.
Yeah, I had read that he had led family to the spot where he had been murdered in a past life, where they found the remains of a guy who had his head whacked with an axe, and about the same spot as where the kid's birthmark was.
Yeah. And that one had, like I said, guy got convicted of murder and had real world consequences. So that's a little spooky.
Yeah, that's a little Law and Order-ish, X-Files-ish.
Yeah, I like that. Those stories make me... Happy's not the word. I don't know. I don't know.
Tingly in your pants? Is that what you're going for?
It's generally in the Pantel region, yeah. Do you have any other examples?
I got another one here for a boy from Oklahoma who also remembered being in Hollywood movies. Around 4 or 5 years old, he started having these memories of being from Hollywood, and every time he'd see Hollywood on the news or whatever, he'd point out and say, "That's where I used to live." He had a house with a pool in the Hollywood Hills and shit. His parents had gotten a book of old Hollywood photos from the old black and white 1930s era Hollywood shit. And he had pointed to the man in the background of a picture who was an extra named Marty Martin and claimed that was him. Marty Martin, he had been a Hollywood extra and a agent, had died in 1964.
Yeah, that's the
Ryan
case that I
had
remember
recounted
doing.
Stories. That's the other one?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, Ryan had recounted stories of meeting Rita Hayworth, tap dancing on Broadway, traveling overseas, working at the agency. His mother had reached out to a child psychologist, Dr. Jim Tucker, at the University of Virginia. That's the same one you were talking about earlier, wasn't it?
Yeah.
University of Virginia.
Yeah. No. Yeah. That's his name.
Okay, so we circled back around to that one.
Cool.
Tucker had tracked down the identity of the picture of the man of the man in the photo, which, like I said, turned out to be Marty Martin. He discovered that he was an extra in Hollywood and a Hollywood agent. He had, in fact, been a tap dancer on Broadway, like the kid had claimed. He had traveled overseas, worked at the agency. Tucker said almost none of these details were available online at the time, too. So I think this one was mid-90s, if I remember right.
Yeah.
So this is before you could just look up anything online, essentially. The kid had also correctly stated that at the time of his death, he was 61, not 59, like it had stated on his death certificate.
Oh, really?
Being Hollywood, he lied about his age, obviously.
I didn't read that part. That's
and
cool.
Knew the correct age at the time of death.
Huh.
So that's a little fucking spooky.
Yeah. That's pretty cool. So...
Yeah, and all of these examples happen pre-easy internet searching.
Yeah. So I do want to point out... so I read or I watched an interview with... what's the name? Jim Tucker. Dr. Jim Tucker. And he addresses the skeptics and the people that say this is bullshit, and a lot of the argument that the skeptics have is that these ideas could either be implanted in the child's memory for some reason or another by the parents, or by some influencer, or it's just influence. There's outside influence. However, Tucker says that during his interviews and during his in his questionnaires and stuff, they code for the enthusiasm or the attitude that the parent has of this case, and it seems that there is no correlation between the enthusiasm or positive attitude for this phenomena and the actual occurrence of the phenomena. And also, there are countless examples throughout history of kids knowing stuff that there's just no way that they can know it. The stuff happened privately in towns away. But the weird thing is these occurrences seem to be regional. Like, you don't hear of an Indian person being implanted in America or vice versa. It's usually an American being in another American or an Indian being in another Indian. is what I've seen. Maybe that's not
Yeah.
true, but that's
Yeah, now that you say
yeah,
that.
that's all I've ever read. It's all they always speak at least speak the same language.
Yeah, now that you say that, a lot of the ones that I did read were regional like that too. Indians with Indians, Americans with Americans,
Did you
whatever.
read any that weren't?
It seems like a while ago when I had just researched this on my own at one point. I had found something of a kid that was able to read German when nobody else in his family was capable of reading
Okay.
German. So that might be something along those
I've read
lines.
cases like that.
I don't remember reading if he could speak it, but I remember for sure he could read German. And he was like American.
And that
or
was
some shit.
tied to reincarnation or some other phenomena.
They think it was part of a past life sort
Okay.
of a deal. Like he had been German or had known German in a past life or
Okay.
whatever. I think they thought it was something World War II related, whether he was a Nazi or an American, I don't remember. But yeah, he could read German when nobody else in the family could.
Okay. Have you so I have this one friend. I work with him. He's a scientist. He's a brilliant guy. One of those brilliant people I've ever met. Except that he's a Scientologist. But one of the things he explained to me is that reincarnation and remembering past lives and past life regression is a big part of Scientology. And he says that remembering a past life is cool, but since that part of you is, being reborn, it itself is eternal. And so you can go further past even human existence into the existence of other types of life and remember those lives, alien life and whatnot.
Well, Scientology was thought up by a science fiction author in like the 1960s. So I'm going to take everything they say is just complete bullshit.
I cannot argue with that. I wish I could, but I can't. But, however,
If he wasn't on record saying that he wanted to start a religion, I might believe it a little bit more.
that's where you lose them?
I probably wouldn't, but I might.
Okay.
I mean, he's a science fiction writer who wanted to create a religion. He's on record stating with friends that he wants to create a religion.
Yeah. And I don't know
And now he has people following him.
if to millions of it's a very powerful
since he
religion.
died, you can't call it a cult anymore. When the guy who comes up with it dies, it's no longer a cult, it's a religion.
I didn't know that was the cutoff.
So,
I know that he took a lot of examples from John Smith. I just listened to a whole series from last podcast on the left. They did a whole Mormonism series, and L. Ron Hubbard, the founder of Scientology, did it a lot better and a lot more effectively. But the basic structure of the building of the religion is there. Basically, there's all this bullshit that I know that you'll never be able to know, and you have to follow it.
I had a thought and I lost it.
You want to wait a second?
Nah, I'm over
Okay.
it.
All right. So,
I had one other example
Yeah.
here that I had come across years ago. It was on History Channel or Discovery Channel, one of those. And it was a kid that remembered being on the Titanic, but I couldn't find it again this time when I was searching for it. I had found other Titanic reincarnation stories, but this one, they were watching some sort of a documentary or something on the Titanic, and the kid's sitting there in the living room playing with toys or whatever. And he looks up and he goes, "That's not right. Those were on the other side of the room." He apparently had worked down in like the engine room or whatever on the Titanic. And his dad dug into it a little bit, and sure enough, when they put the photo on TV, they had mirrored it, so everything was the exact opposite of what it should have been. And the kid was actually right that, yeah, that was supposed to be on this side, and that was supposed to be on that side, sort of thing, right? So they start digging into it a little bit more and seeing what else this kid knows, and he knew quite a bit about the Titanic that you wouldn't just see on TV or whatever, like behind-the-scenes shit about when it was actually sinking and whatever, that like experts know, but you don't ever hear on TV or whatever. But I couldn't find that fucking story again when I was searching for this
that's creepy.
shit.
How long ago did you hear about it?
This was probably, I was still living in Ohio, so probably a good 5, 6, 7 years ago, I had seen
Did
this.
you get a sense of the time difference? Do you remember that at all?
How do you
Like
mean?
death and rebirth, how long it took? Titanic was
Oh,
when? 40s, 50s?
this kid would have been born in like 80s, 90s, like so.
Pre-internet, but yeah. Or birth of internet
Probably early internet, maybe, but
when they didn't have Titanic details.
early enough that shit wouldn't be. Yeah, shit wouldn't have been readily available on the internet and on the internet
Yeah.
yet at that time.
Or
So
at least searchable for a kid would be difficult. Yeah.
right. Well, you remember like 1995, 1997.
Very,
Internet.
yeah.
Like it wasn't fucking easy to get
No,
around.
no.
You didn't just go to Google or whatever and type in whatever the fuck.
Oh,
you
yeah. No, Google wasn't even there. It was AOL at first. And there was only like, every page was like, just really bad. Like just text on green.
Yeah. I like going back and watching movies from that time period and looking at the computers and shit. And it's like,
I love doing that. My kids fucking hate it. They think all of it is stupid.
It's like cell phones date a movie so bad nowadays.
They do,
Like
don't
they've gone
they?
from the bricks to the flip phones to like the Blackberries to now everything is just a generic black square, so it looks like every smartphone.
Right. So, I mean, every movie from the last 20 years when, cell phones became ubiquitous, yeah, it's super easy to date it. It's like hairstyle.
It's like when you see a razor phone in a movie, you're like, I remember when those were awesome.
Those were awesome, though. I'm not sure those are not awesome.
I never had one.
I would. I didn't have one
I
either.
had the Nokia at that time.
I didn't have any cell phone at the time. That was still when you didn't really need one.
Yeah, I was in high school, and I had the Nokia prepaid phone that I'd never used. It was just to get my parents to come pick me up or whatever. Like, I didn't need a fucking phone.
Yeah. I had a landline. I was a broke ass, like 20 something, like young 20 something. So yeah.
God, you're old enough to have had a landline.
You're old enough to have had a landline too. But yeah.
My parents had a landline.
Oh.
I've never
Oh.
had
Yeah. No.
my own landline.
I had my own landline. I remember my number.
Yeah, I remember my number from when I was a kid. I should call that and see who has that number now.
That's a good idea. That might be a good show idea. Send in your old numbers. Let's call them.
This won't end poorly.
It'd be like Stoner Crankacres. I used to live there. Anyway, so one last thing I want to say about this phenomena as a whole, and it's kind of an explanation for how or why this happens, but there is the hypothesis that we are actually living in a computer simulation. This concept is accepted as a possibility by many notable scientists such as Neil deGrasse Tyson and Michio Kaku. But this would also explain the mechanics.
Did you know he worked with Einstein?
Michio?
Michio? Yeah.
No, I didn't know that.
I had read something a while ago that he had worked with Einstein.
I had no idea.
He doesn't seem like he's old enough to have done that, but I guess
He doesn't, but I mean, he's all white.
Yeah.
He's been all white since all I can remember, so yeah.
Yeah, as long as I can remember, he's been all gray and white. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know what the hell they worked on together. I just random note. I had read that at some point.
Interesting. Well, thank you. Very interesting.
Anyways, go ahead.
I don't
didn't
know if
interrupt.
you No, it's fine. I don't know if you noticed the new guy that's been following and listening to us, but Howard Hicks find that interesting. Anyway, so this would also the simulation hypothesis would also explain the mechanics of this phenomena and kind of also jibes up with my explanation at the beginning of the show.
I wanted to throw out the genetic memory idea. Have you heard this?
I have. Mm-hmm. It's that what
There are
Assassin's Creed is
certain-
based on.
Is it?
Yeah,
I've never played an Assassin's Creed game, so I don't know.
they're okay.
They look cool, but I don't know.
I don't like the gameplay.
They look more puzzle solving than action.
All
to
puzzle
me.
solving. Yeah.
Yeah.
Very little action.
That's the same reason I don't play the God of War games. I'm not into all the puzzle solving shit.
No, I like it, but just not.
If it was just a straight beat 'em up or whatever. That'd be more fun, I think.
Or collector or trader.
That's like the newest game that I've invested any time in.
Yeah. It's
Red Dead Redemption 2.
they're working on
For the
keeping us
most
coming
part,
back
I
to.
stick to like 8-bit and 16-bit shit.
Do you really?
Old school shit.
When you're fucking around?
Mm-hmm.
I still fuck around with the good stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Or the new stuff. Spider-Man, Batman. Lately it's been Red Dead, though, for the last, like, couple of weeks.
Mm-hmm. I go through phases. I won't play it for a couple weeks, and then, like this weekend, I've played it a lot. I've played it like 3 times already this weekend.
Yeah.
For a couple hours each. What the fuck were we talking about? Genetic memory.
Genetic memory.
Goddamn.
Genes and such.
I don't know how the fuck we got on Red Dead
Yeah,
doing that.
okay.
But yeah, there's like collective memories that we're all born with. They've done experiments with birds where they'll fly the silhouette of a hawk over top of them, and these are newborn chicks that have never seen a fucking hawk in their life, and they'll duck and get quiet and everything because they inherently know that that silhouette means death.
So what's the difference between that and instinct, then?
That's basically what instinct is genetic memory. It's things that you know without ever needing to be taught them.
Okay. Yeah, okay. And you're suggesting that genetic memory can be so detailed that you can remember instances of past lives? Which, again, is what Assassin's Creed is based on.
Possibly. That would explain things as, like, the one that you had mentioned earlier where the woman's grandmother had come back as her daughter or whatever.
Yeah. Well, and actually...
Like, as long as they're in a straight line, that would make sense. But
That happens...
from some kid in Oklahoma being related to a Hollywood actor, that doesn't make any sense at all in that case.
But that does happen... like a significant portion of the time is it's that reincarnation happens within families. I forget. They did say the actual statistic, and I want to say about 20%, or half or something like that. But it's a good portion of the phenomena.
In those cases, I could see how genetic memory could play a part in that.
Sure, why not? Yeah.
There's also cases of people who get organ transplants, who pick up the characteristics of the people who the organ had come from.
I've heard that as well. And that could be just like a chemical...
Not really related, but semi-related. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. I think it's... Yeah, I guess semi-related, but I don't know. It's still interesting. It probably... it might play a part in remembering past lives. I don't know. But, so, what the main idea that Dr. Tucker, I think, wanted to say is that the consciousness is an entity produced outside of the brain, and whereas up until, it's commonly thought that consciousness is a result of the brain, and this seems to suggest that that's not. They're two separate. They come from two separate sources.
And that goes back to feeling with your heart and gut instincts and everything too. That all works together with the brain.
Yeah. So love yourselves.
Or don't.
Or don't.
Nobody else loves you. Why should you?
Wow. I love you. I love each and every one of you. But yeah. Anyway, that's what I got.
Yeah, that wraps up what I had here too.
This is a relatively short one.
It was. This was a quick and painless one. No two-parter this time.
Yeah. Yeah. Our next one's going to be a two-parter.
Mm-hmm.
We can cut it out, but do you want to talk about it? You want to announce it?
Yeah, that's going to be the last one for Halloween October-themed shit. It'll be cut into 2 pieces.
Yep.
We're going to be talking about Edgar Allan Poe.
Yes, we are. His literature and his life. Interesting motherfucker and perfect for Halloween. Enjoy it on the 31st.
Absolutely. Yeah.
You know what? We might delay it to put it out on Halloween, on the 31st instead of Wednesday.
You want to do it that way?
We might, yeah. I think that's a good idea. Yeah.
That's doable.
We'll make an announcement on the Wednesday. What's that, 28th or 30th? And put it on Thursday?
Let me see. Do I have a calendar here? Yeah. Yeah, it's due to dropped on the 30th, so we can just delay it a day. Drop it on 31st, Halloween.
Yeah. And if we had a Patreon, then we could, I don't know, charge you for some extra stuff, but we don't have that, so fuck it. Don't do that. We should work on that.
Yeah. If we had a lot of things, we could do a lot of other things. But
yeah.
we don't have a lot of things.
We are gaining more listeners. And it's very cool, you guys. Thank you. Tell your friends, listen to us, email us. Katie is, you can talk to Katie and stuff. You can talk to us. We're on, what are we on? I forget.
We are most active on Facebook and Instagram, I believe.
Yes, most active on those. Facebook.
You can also reach us directly at highermindspodcast@gmail.com.
At gmail.com.
Where can you listen to us at?
We are on Stitcher. We are on Stitcher. SoundCloud. We are on
Cloud.
YouTube. Oh, I need to catch up with that. Oh my goodness, I'm so sorry. And most recently, we are on iTunes. Although we only have 10 episodes up on that, and we are working on getting the rest up very shortly.
Are they still just 10 random ones out of the middle? Or do they rotate? How's that working?
Yeah, no, it's just 10 random ones out of the middle. So specifically, it's our RSS feed. It's not uploading when we upload everything else. Like, usually we just have to upload it on one thing, and then it uploads on everything, but this one's not working that way, and I think it's because it's iTunes and they're proprietary. So I just need to learn how to manually do it.
We'll figure that shit out.
Yes. Got to do that soon. Anyway, so, yeah. This has been the Higher Minds Podcast.
It has.
I'm Papa Darby.
And I'm Scott. Deuces.
Deuces.
Buddy.